how far down the road of design? So I know we're focused on kind of user experience, user interface design at this stage. It's really exciting because the product's really coming to life at that point. And we also address things like technical strategy in this kind of generate and prototype phase. How far do we take it?
Yeah, that's a good question. And there's people start to rally kind of around the vision. It's starting to emerge. Now it's getting more formal. Like I could see the screens and I can get a sense, especially once we start getting feedback from users. This is exciting. One thing that we do try to stress up front is that discovery is about the experiments and testing those assumptions. It is not about like completely designing the product up front.
That's super important.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between an agile process and a waterfall process.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. That we are constantly learning along the way. And it is an agile process. As we go through discovery, our team's goal is to get to code as quickly as we can, but we're inserting this kind of experimental activity and getting this feedback to kind of hit the high level patterns, the high level risks, and make smart decisions that would be otherwise harder to untangle later down the road, but not to completely eliminate risk and not let it become this weighty thing that takes the team a long time to get to the build.
Yeah, so we're prototyping key interactions. That's around getting some validation on some problems that we're going to solve. So now we have a solution. So we're ready to build, right?
Yeah. So so we have tested those critical assumptions. Now we're ready to start the build. We are almost there, but the last piece of this, which is the last phase of the discovery that we call kind of the alignment space, is to say, based on all that we've learned, before we set off on the build, and we know everybody's eager to do that, let's
especially me
rally around therefore, the vision for what this first release of the product is going to, there's certain foundations that we have to set into place around data and front and back end, questions, integrations, things like that. And we now have a good sense of what the critical feature set is.
Because we put the prototype in front of users.
Yeah, and
we've gotten some feedback on
that.
Okay.
We understand the technologies and what the constraints are. So therefore, we can come back. So we kind of close out discovery with a high-level release plan for the product. And we understand we make our initial recommendation. It's a very transparent and open and collaborative discussion with our client about these features are in, and here's why, because it completely solves a problem for the user. It'll get us to market faster. We're not going to build 4 feature sets just yet. We're going to build it largely around 1 or 2. We're going to set all the foundations in place. We'll set the critical design patterns, but that can actually get you into the market faster. You could start marketing it. We could start collecting evidence in terms of analytics and metrics that this product is really going to do the things that we set out to do. But that doesn't mean that, the other features have to be far behind. Like we now can start to roadmap and plan. So first release, second release, third. But we've got the critical patterns, the critical infrastructure in place to make all of that much more efficient when we get to them. So it is a real dance. You're taking an awful lot of complexity and kind of around user needs and technical constraints and business requirements, business rules, partnerships, and other stakeholder alignments, all in relation to now how to move forward with the build and minimizing kind of the disruptions that we would otherwise run into. You're always going to be discovering. We're trying to get the bulk of the critical discovery out up front so we can make smart decisions.
Yeah.
we're going to continue to discover along the way, but we don't want it to hold up the build. Now we're ready to start going into all that detail that comes with specifically, how's this going to work and how are we going to build that as a team.